Rapid prototyping is a way of producing objects directly from 3D CAD data. It differs very much from machining, which is a subtractive process where we actually remove material to create an object, where rapid prototyping is an additive process. We start with nothing and we add material to build up. So you can see that the first spanner there shows the principle of rapid prototyping, where we've built the object up by just layering thin layers of card together. It's a reasonably coarse finish, but you can see the one behind that's been produced on an industrial rapid prototyping machine is much finer. We've used much finer layers to build it up, but very much the principle is the same in both. So we can see from one of the examples here, which is the shoe sole here, the designer's been able to go straight from CAD, straight to that product in a very short time scale. And they've got something that they can both see what it's going to look like, they can take to maybe a marketing meeting, or even they can maybe make 3 or 4 different examples and take it to a meeting of and even end users and see which people like. Another example here is a model of a chair here. So before we go into actually production and looking at making the full-size variant, again we could make various variants of this chair and see which the market likes before we go into tooling up for production, which is obviously an expensive process. Again here, we've got a car wing mirror. Again, the same thing. We can bolt it onto a car and see if it fits, etc., before we go to the expense of tooling up for production. Here we can produce some architectural models, for instance, so we can start to see the layout of a site. We can again do different iterations and look which we like before we move any further on. So very quickly we can get from CAD to something that we can then make further decisions on using rapid prototyping processes. So typically something like that would take probably around an hour to print, which people hear the phrase rapid prototyping and think we're going to get things out in seconds and minutes, but it's all relative. Previously, before we had this sort of technology, that would have to go away for a professional model maker. It could be a matter of weeks before you actually saw this back. So here at Boxford we use rapid prototyping technology. Again, we can print a part out from the 3D CAD. We can find things out that we maybe couldn't find out on the CAD. We had an instance recently where we actually had an item. It was a removable item that went on and off the machine. Now when it was on the machine, in its final resting place, there was no interference, it didn't catch anything, it fitted perfectly. But what we did find when we actually rapid prototyped it and tried to bolt it on the machine, the action that the operator had to do to get it into its final position caused an actual element of it to foul and stop it fitting. And again, the CAD package would never have shown that. So by being able to spend a very small amount of money and get this component, we found that out before we went on to make an expensive mistake in production and make many tens or hundreds of these and have a problem. So when we're using the rapid prototyping machine, we go straight from the 3D CAD package and we output it to the machine directly. Now the way the machine actually builds the object to us, it rolls a layer of thin powder out. It then comes over it and using a standard sort of inkjet print head, it actually prints down a glue or a binding fluid to actually cure it where it needs to do. It will drop by the layer thickness, so 0.3 of a millimetre, it will drop the object. We'll roll another layer of powder over the top, and then we'll actually print the shape at that layer. And then it'll carry on, it'll drop a bit more, we'll roll another layer over, and on it'll go till eventually we've built the whole object up. The object comes out, has some structural integrity straight away, but it does need a final process to actually bring it to a rigidity that we can actually use. So we've got a variety of ways then to strengthen it. We can dip it in resin, and we can dip it in wax, or we can paint resin on, and depending on which resin we use, we can get different effects. We can even paste on an elastomer, and we can actually, this solid object will become rubber, and we can almost mimic, for instance, a rubber bottle for packaging, etc.